This is, without a doubt, the funniest show I've seen in some time, and is hands down the comedy of the season. You have Total Fantasy Knockout, which is basically when your bro becomes best girl, and your sexual lust for your bro to begin with is now coming to fruition. People are going to argue, is this a yaoi? Is this boys' love here? Is it a rom-com? What are we watching? And all I can say is it's the funniest shit ever. I saw someone on Reddit call it homosexual because you're attracted to your homie. It's wild. This show I've been eagerly anticipating. I thought it was going to be funny because, like, the premise was something along the lines of an old dude gets reincarnated as himself, and then his other old dude friend gets reincarnated as a beautiful girl, and it's the adventures to get them back to normal by doing your typical isekai fantasy things, go defeat someone. But this is so funny that I don't think I can pick a particular joke and say that's the best part of this episode. The entire premise of it is incredible. Because you have Jingoji, right? This man who is basically, he's athletic, he's book smart, he's perfect. Every woman wants him. And very clearly, he has some form of feelings for his best friend, who is Tachibana, right? And the idea that basically Tachibana is just trying to find a woman and he can't because Jingoji is always stealing the women away despite not wanting them. You can tell what both of them wants. And then by having this like drunken like saying of being like, I just wish I was a beautiful girl that everyone fawned over. Goddess comes in, kills the man. He's not even dying or anything. He's just drunk. She shoots him, kills him. He wakes up as basically himself to then disintegrate into a slime and then becomes the woman of his dreams, or at least that's what the drunken version of Tachibana said they wanted. And to see this relationship, it is so hilarious because you have Jingoji, right? Basically, apparently having no interest in women. And from what he said on the outside before they got transformed and everything, it's like he's trying to argue he's not like attracted or anything. It's just like he wants his best friend for himself. It almost feels like that kind of like siscon relationship where you have the brother who's overly obsessed but saying like he doesn't want to do anything to her, but just wants her all to himself. And that's kind of how it felt like with this kind of bromance that was going on, where the other bro just kind of wanted to get the hell out of Dodge and find a beautiful woman for himself. And then in return, he becomes said beautiful woman. And the idea that half of this episode is just Tachibana trying to make someone like Jingoji admit that she is cute, right? Because the fact is, like, almost immediately, Jingoji calls Tachibana cute because, like, oh god, that's actually cute. So you have these, like, conflicting feelings of them not knowing, is it the goddess's curse because they were insulting her for so long, which, honestly, I say, my man was literally just drunkenly ill. He wasn't gonna die, and then you shot him to death and transported them to a fantasy world. I'd say the goddess is probably the worst one out of the bunch there, but still, understandable why they kind of pressed on her buttons and she kind of stormed off after cursing them. But it really feels like the curse isn't them falling in love with each other. I feel like that's just their natural instincts, because now that Tachibana is a female, her natural lust towards someone recognizing that someone like Jingoji is this super attractive male, it's just naturally connecting there, and she's kind of seeing the charms go there. As you have Jingoji, who apparently has never shown interest in a woman, now basically forced to admit that not only was like the feelings towards his best friends legit, now he has the physical feelings as well. This show, I don't see how it doesn't be a riot every single week. It's one of those shows that it has the formula you've seen before. A goddess transports people, says you're gonna be a hero. There's like an RPG element with like menu stats, EXP, things like that. But ultimately, this show is just trying to be the most ludicrous thing that you're going to watch this season, and probably one of the most hilarious shows you're going to watch this year. This kind of gave me the same, oh my god, laughing vibes as Cautious Hero initially did, because when Cautious Hero came out, I was like, this is just so different. It's just so funny. It's so over the top, and it's different in breaking apart the mold that you're typically used to with goddesses and hero storylines. And this is doing the exact same thing, just in its own unique way. The idea of, like, pretty much immediately, even before, like, the fantasy stuff kicks in, I'm like, okay, like, this dude's, like, clearly attracted to his bro here. And the bro just wants to find a woman. I'm like, okay, that's already a different kind of premise, right? Because you just don't see stuff like that. And then the fact of the matter is, you turn one into this, like, cute anime girl, and then you leave the other one just as he is because he's already anime beautiful. And to see the type of shenanigans, because clearly we get a taste of what Jingoji can do. He's super powerful, and he's blaming it on just his gym training. but you don't punch a weird, cute animal bear thing that then turns into like something from Aliens versus Predators or something, to then see him like do these like laser punches, to then blocking laser blasts, to then summoning a door that just looks like an apartment door. I am so confused, but intrigued about where this show's gonna go over 12 episodes. Because often you're like, okay, you know, fantasy show, summon, fight a demon lord, fight a demon king, whatever it's gonna be. But you have the main premise of this episode, someone like Tachibana wanting Jinguji to admit that she's cute, and then you have Jinguji just trying not to get flustered as they're both romantically interested now because of their physical appearances and how they're operating. And the fact of the matter is the core story hook is going to be to defeat your typical isekai villain. But the fact of the matter is their priorities is to try to admit that the other is probably attracted to them, as they also don't want to admit that they're falling in love. This is the most insanely hilarious premise, and I would argue one of the funniest premises I've ever seen in anime. And I've been watching seasonal anime since late 2012, and this shit is just, it's so balls to the walls insane. I don't know how we didn't get something like this sooner, and if we did, goddamn point me towards them, because I'll go watch them. This show is gonna be a riot. It's something that it knows what it wants to be. It doesn't take itself seriously in the slightest. I really don't think there's a single moment that felt like it was trying to be serious, because like when it was doing the typical rom-com, oh my god, blushing moments, it almost immediately went into some slapstick comedy. And from minute one of just having these bros in the restroom just kind of talking about how Jinguji wants to keep Tachibana all to himself, but he's like not saying like how he wants to be in a relationship. He just wants his bro all to himself. It's hard not to be like, this is like the JoJo fandom talking to each other about how much they love JoJo and shit. It's like, what's going on here? I think the thing that's probably going to be the funniest though point of the entire show is when we do get into like those typical like, oh my god, there's a village on fire, there's monsters attacking, and then they ultimately, because they're the heroes of the story, ends up saving. As you have probably multiple people fawning over Tachibana, as Jinguji doesn't want to admit that he's attracted to Tachibana and is trying to make sure that, like, it's a reversal, right? Because usually it would be Jinguji getting all the women attached to him, as someone like, Tachibana is just a little upset that he can't get a single woman. But now it's going to be a reverse, and that's going to be such a hilarious scene, taking apart and almost dissecting your typical hero saves a village scene, because ultimately now it's a reversal of the attraction meter. And I'm just like, this show has no right being this good, but the production matches the ludicrous design of its writing. I'm curious to see what the side cast will look like, if there is even going to be a big side cast, because I feel like these two alone are enough to carry a show. We have a taste of the goddess, who is super over the top, and just the idea of calling her like an LED screen was enough for me to really say, holy shit, this show is completely hitting my funny bone. I like it. I like it a lot. I think this is going to be the one I'm looking forward to the most, probably coming up next week, because I know everything else that I've been watching I'm going to enjoy, but there's something about how ludicrous this one is that I need to see where it goes from here. And I love the voice acting casting. They're just completely spot on for the roles that they're playing. But let me know your thoughts and feelings, whether you were looking forward to Total Fantasy Knockout, or you just like, what the hell is this show, because I made a video and you checked it out. What did you think? And are you excited for episode 2 next week? Let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.